We're going to turn now overseas, where Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio are representing the U.S. at the Munich Security Conference today. Vance is expected to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today at the conference amid President Trump's ideas for a negotiation to end the war. However, Politico reports that Vance will not meet with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz at the conference, a diplomatic rebuke to the leader of the host country at a time of heightened tensions. The pair did, however, meet on Monday in Paris. Trump spoke about his negotiations with Russian President Vladimir Putin yesterday.
Russia has gotten themselves into something that I think they wish they didn't. If I were president, it would not have happened. Absolutely would not have happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. I think that when you look at Ukraine and when you look at the mess that they're in, it's got to be ended and it's got to be stopped. Now, Russia's taken over a pretty big chunk of territory. And they also have said from day one, long before President Putin, they've said they cannot have Ukraine be in NATO. They said that very strongly. I actually think that that was the thing that caused the start of the war. But as far as the negotiation, it's too early to say what's going to happen. Maybe Russia will give up a lot. Maybe they won't. And it's all dependent on what is going to happen. The negotiation really hasn't started.
All this action in Europe means we are tracking a lot of live pictures right now. You see there on one side of your screen, Pete Hegseth speaking in Poland. And then on the other side of your screen, you have Ukrainian President Zelensky in Munich. We'll be watching all of those meetings as they go on the rest of the day. But joining us now from the ground in Munich, Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Colorado. He's a member of the House Armed Services and Intelligence Committees. Congressman, the time difference working in our favor on way too early this morning. Thanks for joining us. I mean, I want to start with what we heard from President Trump there. We played a little bit of his comments around the nascent negotiations to potentially end the war in Ukraine. What do you make of the way that he's gone about this over the course of the last few days?
Well, first of all, it's not just Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance who are representing the United States. There is a large bipartisan delegation of members of Congress from around the country who are here representing, our districts, our communities in the United States. My message is different from J.D. Vance's and Marco Rubio's. My message that I'm bringing to this conference is one that we stand behind our partners, our allies, that it's not just enough to push people around and talk tough, that our sources of power and strength and security come from the relationships that we build here and come from our partnerships and organizations like NATO. That's a really important thing for Americans to take away. But listen, your comment earlier that these are nascent negotiations, I think that's actually being pretty liberal with the phrasing of it. There really had not been any negotiations. There have been some calls. There have been conflicting messages, a lot of conflicting messages coming out of the administration. Pete Hegseth said something the other day that he then rolled back in a tweet. Tweets and inconsistent messages is not the way to actually present a unified front and to enter a negotiation as serious as a peace negotiation with Vladimir Putin and President Zelensky.
Do you get the sense that the bipartisan members that you are on this CODEL with have the same stance as you when it comes to specifically supporting our Ukrainian allies, even as it seems that President Trump, however early in the process you want to say it is clearly trying to hurry the end of this war?
Well, there's a variety of different stances here. I mean, that's one of the things that makes the Congress such an interesting place to be, is that there's a lot of different people with a lot of different perspectives. But I will say that people who do these delegations and are here with me understand the importance of alliances and partnerships. And this couldn't be more important at this point, that, bullying, threatening our partners and allies make us less safe. These are people who have fought with us in Iraq and Afghanistan, who I fought with in Iraq and Afghanistan as a combat veteran. I was a paratrooper, a ranger in Iraq and Afghanistan during war on terror. And a lot of these partners, a lot of our NATO allies were there on the ground with us after 9/11. So these are our sources of great strength, and our adversaries, Russia and China and Iran and others, actually the thing that they envy the most is our alliance and partnership network. So it would be doing huge damage if Donald Trump and others maligned and undermined those partnerships, because, our adversaries want them and they're trying to build them just like we have been over the last couple of decades.
Congressman, you talk about the impact of tough talk and tweets on these kinds of relationships. Can you tell me a little bit about what the quiet conversations you're having are on the sidelines of Munich and your other conversations with the global community? What is the view of the United States right now?
Well, people are really wondering that. You know, it is to be determined, I think is the best way to put it. But listen, this tough talk thing, you know, I was an Army Ranger. I did 3 combat tours overseas. I don't have a lot of patience for machismo and chest pounding and tough talk, because usually when it's people that are talking tough, it's people who have never served, don't serve, or aren't going to be the ones going down range and having to get the job done. Right? That's the men and women who I serve with. That's people from around the country that are going to have to suffer the consequences of that tough talk. I'm more of a speak softly and carry a big stick type of guy, more of a Teddy Roosevelt type of guy, that we should have partnerships. We should have our alliances. We should have a strong military. We should have a strong economy. And that speaks for itself, right? Because someone like Vladimir Putin doesn't really care how tough Donald Trump talks in his interviews. He just doesn't care, right? Well, what he cares about is what we can do to back it up. What he cares about is the consequences that will be imposed on him and his oligarchs if he doesn't go to the negotiating table. That's what he cares about, actual results and consequences. And that's what I'm here to actually try to develop as a strong partnership network.
Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Colorado. We'll talk to you when you get back as well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.